You know what? All great things need to come to an end, and the Project Sky interview is no different. Today we wrap up the trifecta, the three-part interview, and I had a blast doing it, creating it. The journey we've had is one that I will truly cherish. And that is not sarcasm, because this is a great game. It looks very special. Today we talk about how players level up. We're going to be talking about the different skills trees that are going to be within this game. There's quite a few, so stay buckled up for that one. And we are going to talk about Seth's favorite part of Project Sky. This is going to be the pinnacle, the peak of our three-part interview, so definitely make sure that you stay tuned for everything on the way. And if you missed the first two parts, they're going to be linked below. Without further ado, though, it's time to get into the final chapter of the Project Sky interview.
Can you kind of explain how your character progression grows throughout the game and how each skills tree impacts your player?
Player's skill progression is level based, like XP based. You gain XP,
It is
you
level based.
up,
Okay.
and yes, it is. It is. But where it starts to differ is that you, in addition to leveling up, like you're leveling up your character, you're also leveling up these, like the culture level, I guess, for for each of the different tribes. And so you've got the universal skill tree, which is always available to you, and it's got 4 different trees, with one of them being related to hardiness and survival in the wilds, something related to firearms, melee weapons, and skills that will apply to everything, essentially.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And this, as you gain XP by just doing stuff, this will level up, and then you'll get points, and then you can put them into the different parts of the tree. But as you're getting universal XP, you're also leveling up at least one of the tribes at any given time. Usually it'll be that of your companion, because obviously you're going to be doing things the way that they do things, because that's where you're learning from. But depending on the territory that you're in, depending on the other members of your party and stuff like that, so you'll be gaining XP for different skill trees and so on and so forth. And then once you level up, once you achieve a level, I guess, in a skill tree, now you have a point to spend specifically in that tree.
Okay.
For example, here the Rakuti, the machine hunters, they are the only tribe with 4 at the moment there, but that's because specifically each tree is actually like a job in the tribe, so to speak.
Okay.
So you've got the Velhatari tree, which is all about using their bows and elemental ammo and being nimble while aiming and just fighting machines toe to toe, and so on and so forth. But you've also got the Velkahela, which is all about fighting colossal sized machines, and so it's usage of the grappling hook and just that sort of thing. So it's all different designations that relate to a specific tool or style of play, I guess.
That explains it perfectly. Actually, that's exactly what I was looking for. So moving into the last few questions, one that came to mind randomly. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with the very last question, but you have machines in the game. Is there any sort of mechanics where you can say, for lack of a better word, just you can hotwire a machine and use it as an ally? Or is there any sort of mechanics in that sense along that line?
I'm going to say potentially, because it's a bit of a slippery slope, because I think that the moment that you start to allow for people to become friendly, all buddy with the machines, you reduce just how dangerous they'll be perceived, and also B, people will want more. If they tame this robo dog, and I don't want it to be like a permanent thing there. People are going to complain because I tamed this robo dog, I named him Scruffy, and I really want Scruffy to come along with me. And so it's it's undecided, definitely undecided.
Okay.
If anything, it might be based around progressing in a tribe's storyline, and then gaining I want to say in story-based allies, I guess. So one that I've thought of, for example, is a robotic falcon, I guess.
Okay.
Falconers, with the bird on their arm and stuff like that, and they can edit to send messages, go grab stuff, and so on and so forth, like that. That's an example of something that you'd earn by becoming more friendly with a specific tribe. So I don't think I can't at the present time. I don't think I'm gonna let people just kind of befriend every like any type of machine necessarily. But the idea of having a mechanical companion is definitely one that I've thought about a lot.
Okay. And then to kind of start closing things out, what is your favorite part of the game? I ask every developer this, and I understand just how difficult a question it is to answer, just because every developer spends so much time working on their games, and there's just so many different aspects to every game. Especially with your game, there are so many different things to kind of look at or fall back towards. Is there anything you can lean in on, whether it's a character or place, whatever it could be?
I've got three potential ones, but you asked for one, so I'm thinking, can we compromise at like two?
Yeah, we can compromise it too. Yeah.
The second one kind of touches on the third one anyway, but I'll keep it limited. So I wouldn't say the big one so far. Right now, my favorite part has to be the prospect of the mounts. I think that any game, even like Ark, for example, like any game that lets you tame and control and ride these massive apex predators that deep down we all really, really want to, but a desire to live and not be eaten kind of outweighs that that little desire. I think any game that lets you befriend like the big apex predator of the wilds or something like that, and it is I don't know, it's good in my book. So just the ability to have such cool and colorful mounts that have their own personalities and that you can bond with and stuff like that and really grow attached to. I think that so far is my favorite part, and it's kind of weird to say it because I've only got one of the 7 in the game right now, but I'm really looking forward to getting the other 6. So the mounts, I would say definitely. Right now it's only the Hawk Wolf, but got a few more on the way.
Since this game, do you have an estimated launch for it at this point? I know you're only in the first phase of demos, but do you have kind of a long-term goal of when you see it arriving, or is it really in flux with just when it's ready, it's ready?
It is, I would say for the most part, it is still sort of in flux. I'm definitely a bit much of a perfectionist myself, so it will be kind of a, when I'm comfortable with the product, I will put it on the market type of thing. But what I can say is that I'm shooting to have another bit of publicly released content this year. Originally, I was aiming for the end of the second quarter, but given that I like to give myself like a comfortable couple of months to polish and so on and so forth, I'm not sure that that's going to happen at the present time. So would like to have some publicly released content this year, whether it's I'm banking on it being the next demo build. But the thing about this next demo build is that, and the reason why it's going to take a good bit longer, is that it will essentially wrap up a lot of the systems that the game as a whole was missing. And once that's done, it'll just be a matter of making content for players to play through and stuff like that. And once that's done, then stage one of the public release on early access will be ready. So
and when where do you see it releasing? Is it just going to be Steam/PC? Is it going to be something you want to push to console at some point to port towards that? What do you kind of envision for this game when it launches?
Steam early access for stage stage probably 1 and 2 of release. It's just so that I can get some rapid iteration on it, user feedback, and so on and so forth. And I think that people will be a lot more forgiving of any sorts of any issues that the game is bound to have. As if I market it as like, hey, I'm looking for user feedback, it's in early access, so please come and tear it apart type of thing. So Steam early access to start with. Once it's finished there, basically I'd like to push it to any PC market that'll accept it. Then provided that I have the necessary dev kit tools, I am absolutely planning to get it released on consoles and stuff. Controller support is like 80% complete, so might as well.
One other question that comes to mind: you are a solo dev right now, so
I am.
you literally are building this entire world on your own. So you're building your own music, everything, correct? It's all you.
So I will say that the music I am planning to I'm planning to hire a composer, and the sounds the sound effects themselves are not mine. The implementation is, but the sounds themselves are created by a friend of mine named Lewis. I can give you his Twitter handle so we can plug his account as well later on. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, Lewis has been doing all the sounds for my game.
Do you see a time where you're gonna have to start bringing people on to really help you kind of push the final product?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right now, I mean, the only reason I haven't is because is because of that whole perfectionist thing there. Like, there's still too much right now too many systems that need to be done that are sort of I'm the only one who knows how this should be type of thing, which is like a little bit like egotistical, I guess. But I just it's just really like integral stuff that I want to make sure gets done right. But once that's all done, and it's just kind of like filling the world with stuff to do, things like places to visit and so on and so forth, and which entails like quests and dialogue and all the sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely, I'm going to want multiple hands on. Well, gonna want more people on deck essentially, because it's that sort of thing there that will quickly balloon and get really, really, really out of scope. As like, I want to say, large as the scope already is for this game. So yeah, just waiting until like the core systems are all fully implemented, and then I'll be looking to take on some more hands for content building and stuff.
With solo devs, whenever I talk to solo devs, I think the one thing that stands out the most is that they spend so much time working on their games. It's really hard when you get to that point where you have to start actually outsourcing and having other people work on your game, because it is your baby. So that's something that's very, very, every developer who's solo and builds their game for so long, it makes a lot of sense. So I completely understand that. Outside of that, I'm trying to think if any other questions come to mind at this point. Do you have, you're not even close to a full release yet, but do you have plans past this at this point? Anything within it is an open world, so obviously there's other potential for sequels or DLC or whatever it may be, but do you have anything that comes to mind that you have planned at this point?
Yeah, I've got one expansion planned, which is also something that I had concepted way back in high school. Part of the beauty of the concept of like the Skylands as a world is that if I want an expansion or something, bam, just make a new continent there. I don't even need to explain how it gets into the game. It's just kind of like a new continent. You get to it, now there's new stuff. I've got one expansion planned.
Okay.
That'll delve into some other stuff. But yeah,
is this game? Every developer gets to the point where I notice they're scaling up, and then they get to that point where it's too much. There's so much just content that they need to work on, and then they kind of start scaling down as they get closer to their launches. Is this game still scaling up for you, or are you at that point where you're kind of trying to refine everything and make everything perfect?
I think that at the moment the scale has actually somewhat like stabilized.
Okay.
So like it was for a while exclusively like kind of ballooning, but it was expanding into like the unknown, because there was a lot of like, I want to say, like question marks in regards to like how am I going to handle this, like what should the design philosophy be for this, but as I figure more and more stuff out, and at this present stage at least, it's definitely sort of like solidifying, I guess, as a plan. So there's still some features and some encounters and sequences and stuff like that feels like it pushes the scale a bit further still. But
as an overall, it's starting to scale back a little bit.
Honestly, no, I wouldn't even say that. I have lofty expectations and patience, so it'll get done. It's just a matter of when.
Gotcha. Okay, and then my last question before we finish things up. I like to ask this to developers because everybody's influenced by something, inspired by something, and every developer puts their own personal twists into their games via Easter eggs. Is that something that you are going to be incorporating into Project Sky, or something that you have incorporated or you're planning to?
Easter eggs?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. There's no way there's going to be a world this damn big with like no sort of like little tidbits here and there left for people to find. Like absolutely, there's going to be some sort of Easter eggs. You know what it's going to be? I don't know yet. There's likely going to be a lot of like little references to other projects or titles or so on and so forth. Maybe some of like the old fugly concept art that I did as a teen. Will kind of be found in like, you know, the deep recesses of the world where they belong. But but yeah, there's definitely gonna be some Easter eggs for people to find.
And there it is. That is everything. The 3-part interview in all of its fruition is going to be going up on the website later this week or early next week, where you're going to be able to check out all 3 of those interviews on one page for your convenience. It's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait for you to really check it out and dive into everything. This game is very in-depth. It goes into a lot of different things. It really explores what an RPG could be. And it's something that I'm very excited about, especially something coming out of the indie world. Something that all of you gamers that really are looking for something new, something special, something unique, really need to check out. So, make sure you check out all of his channels. Obviously, all of them will be linked below. Make sure you support him as well as all of the other indie developers that I have hosted on this channel, because you know, the indie world is one that is just full of promise and potential and so much passion and so much just ability and skill with these developers. So definitely make sure you show your support to them, obviously, starting with Seth first off. But for now, we're gonna part ways, and until you see me next time, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that you stay gaming, stay curious, and as always, stay entertained. Take it easy, y'all.
When this is what? You gotta finish your sentence. Over.
That's it. My sentence is over.
Your sentence is what, Brian?